Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Veterinary Business Podcast, where passion meets purpose and where we explore the real stories, the real challenges, and the real breakthroughs behind building a thriving veterinary practice. I'm Don Adeesha, your host, and I'm so glad you're here. So, if you've ever ended a long day wondering why your to-do list seems longer than when you started, you are not alone. In this profession, it's easy to feel like we're constantly slaying dragons, putting out fires, chasing every urgent goal, trying to fix problems that might not even exist. But what if some of those dragons aren't worth the fight? What if true progress comes not from doing more, but from doing what truly matters? Well, that's exactly what today's episode is about. Redefining what effective goal setting really looks like in a veterinary practice and how to shift from being a gonna person to a doing it person. Joining us is someone who knows this journey inside out. Rhys Giannarelli, a visionary veterinary entrepreneur, speaker, and leadership facilitator with nearly a decade of experience transforming veterinary practices from the inside out. Rhys is the driving force behind Fraserview Veterinary Hospital and Point Grey Veterinary Hospital in Vancouver, British Columbia. Two thriving practices built on culture, clarity, and care. Through innovative veterinary management solutions, he helps veterinary leaders cut through the noise, align their goals with their core values, and build teams that move with intention and not burnout. So, in this conversation, goal setting, stop slaying dragons that don't exist. Are you a gonna person or a doing it person? Rhys shares practical insights on how to identify the right goals, let go of distractions, create momentum that lasts. Whether you're a practice owner, manager, or aspiring leader, this episode will change the way you think about progress. It'll give you the tools to make your goals work for you and not against you. Also, here's a special resource for our listeners. You can book a complimentary practice growth strategy session with Lila, a marketing strategist who's helped hundreds of veterinary practices grow with confidence. In this one-on-one session, you'll get a detailed review of your clinical online presence and personalized 12-month growth plan to help you connect, attract, and thrive. Visit veterinarybusinessinstitute.com/MSM to schedule your free session. Now, with that being said, Rhys, we're thrilled to have you on the show and welcome to the Veterinary Business Podcast. So, Rhys, many veterinary professionals are constantly slaying dragons, right? So tackling problems that might not exist or aren't even priorities. Based on your experience leading multiple practices, how can leaders determine which goals are truly worth their energy and which are distractions?
You see, the title, Slaying Dragons That Don't Exist, is actually it. There is no dragon to slay. There is no final boss. It is a constant movement of small, incremental decisions, changes, innovations, and moving that needle little bit by little bit that is going to get you to the end goal. Now, when we say what is the end goal for anybody, and I don't care who you are, the end goal for every single person who owns a practice is to sell. Sell to who is the question, whether it be corporate, whether it be to another associate. That's a legacy sale. It doesn't make a difference. But what is the end goal? The end goal is to sell. For how much? That's up to the person. But from now until then, every decision, every movement, every revenue, every dollar is a step to sell. You can't sell a business that's not making money. That just simply doesn't happen unless it's a sale of assets. That's a different story. When we say there is no dragon, there is no final boss, it's not. Sometimes people think, if only I can get another vets, or if only I can just hire another technician, if only I had a bigger space, if only. When I do this, I can. When I do that, I can do this. And when this happens, that happens. We need to get out of that mentality. That's simple, very sweet, very sweet diagnosis. Get out of that mentality, because there is no if only. There is no when I. It is the smallest goals that's going to change the next goal and the next goal and the next goal. These are compounding movements or compounding decisions that is going to get you to the end goal. When look at investments, you want $1 million, you're going to invest. You invest a little bit now, a little bit more, and a little bit more, and whatever you invest gets interest, and that interest gets compounded, and away we go. There's no difference to what we do in business. So when we say what is the end goal is to sell. Okay, great, that's the end goal. But what are we going to do between now and 5 years? What does 5 years look like? Build that and make small, incremental steps now that is going to compound to get to 5 years. That's the short version of it.
Okay. So how do you personally evaluate or filter goals before acting on them in your hospitals?
We have two avenues. Right? They run parallel to each other, but one's more important than the other. So we have company goals. Those company goals are the things that we absolutely must work on no matter what. That goal is our number one priority. So if that 5-year goal, and we'll just say things at random, let's just say I have a $1.5 million practice now and I want to make it $4 million in 5. Great. Okay, how do we get there? So whatever processes that we come up with, or whatever decisions that we need to do to get there, it could be adding another 2 doctors or 3 doctors for that matter. And then obviously for every 1 doctor that you add, you need to add a support team around it. So maybe you need to add another technician, another assistant, and maybe another CSR, or whatever that may look like. Maybe you need to move that space to get to $4 million because your space can only tolerate or cap out at $2 million. Whatever those decisions look like, they are compounding movements to get to my 5-year goal. My 5-year goal is to make $4 million. How am I going to do that? Well, I need more space. Great. Do I need to move? Do I need to build out? Do I need to hire? These are little decisions that's going to compound to that 5-year goal, as an example. So these are the most important things. What is the sub decision or the sub important stuff that we work on is our day-to-day stuff. Now, that day-to-day stuff, don't get confused with putting out fires, because that's a different conversation altogether. Day-to-day stuff is what your role actually is. I need to onboard this person. I need to submit this paperwork for this, or do payroll, or submit tax forms. Those are your day-to-day things, right? So those are your day-to-day goals, and they're called to-dos. Now, you can have personal goals. There's a very different personal goals and company goals. Personal goals is not, outside of work being personal. I'm talking about personal goals within the workspace. Maybe it is, I would like to revamp the employee manual. That might take me 3 months. That's a personal goal, not a company goal. The difference between a company goal and a personal goal is the company goal is focused on the 5-year goal. That company goal is also focused on the 3-year goal, the 1-year goal, because we are making these little steps to get to the 5-year goal. The personal goals are, I want to revamp the employee handbook. Maybe I want to figure out a different way on how to streamline inventory process. Or maybe it is I need to source a different partnership with, with someone in the vet world, or whatever that may look like, right? Or it's like local businesses or something, or promotion. These are small. So these are personal goals that matter because it's your job. Mm-hmm. But the company goal, that's the bigger picture. So when we talk about slaying dragons, they're very different, and it's just a mythical thing to talk about.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned over there, for example, a practice that is doing 1.5, their goal over the next 5 years is to go to 4 mil, right?
Yeah.
How do we come up with that number? How do practice owners settle on that 4 million,
Every practice is different and every practice is unique. When clients come to me and say, "Oh, hey, I want to do X amount of dollars," and we'll say it's 4 million. My first question is, what does the market look like right now? Do you think you can get to 4 million? The answer may be no, and that's completely okay. We don't want this goal to be so easily attainable. We want them to push. We want them to really push, right? If they're able to reach their goal in 3 years, they didn't reach far enough. They didn't reach high enough, right? So if they say, I want it to be 5 million now, right? I said 5 million. No, I said 4 million. Now it's 5 million. I'm like, okay, great. What has been your growth in the last 3 years? Now we're going to take COVID out of the situation because that just skewed our numbers completely. So we're going to take that out of the equation. Some practices haven't been around before COVID, and that's also okay. We'll just average out what the last year and a half was. We're going to take COVID out of the situation still. So we'll look at them and like, hey, your growth is maybe 17% year over year, or maybe it's 30%. That's fine. What we will do, we'll be conservative. We'll see what the first year looks like. And if that first year we are well and truly above what our target was, then we have a better idea on where that looks like in the next 5 years. Because some new practices don't have historical data, and that's okay. We'll use the year that I spend with them. I spend the whole year with my clients. We'll use that whole year to gather that data. I'll chuck it in my magical spreadsheets that gives me all these numbers that I need. And I say, okay, I predict that you can do X comfortably, but I don't want you to be comfortable because it's not how we develop. I want you to reach for the stars. Now, don't tell me, okay, let's go 10 million because we just know we're not going to get there, right? But I want that carrot to be strapped, metaphorically speaking, strapped to your head and just there, enough for you to smell it and bite it, but you can't really get it. That's the carrot I'm talking about, that you're always chasing it. You're chasing it because the more you see it, the more you chase it, it's going to give you that one step closer to that 5 million now. But if you didn't have 5 million, you set yourself at 3 million and you reached it by year 3, are you going to continue to push? You've reached your goal. Happy days, right? I don't want that to happen. I really want you to push. But if I said 10 million and you got to 3 or 4, you're already defeated because you're not going to get there. So we're still not trying. There's an art. It's the balancing act, the pendulum.
Beautiful. Rhys, you often speak about values-driven leadership. How do core values play into effective goal setting, and how can they help teams move from being gonna people to doing it people?
See, core values to me is a behavioral value that we use. We use core values to benchmark behaviors, and that's just, I feel like it's a different concept than people are used to. Because when we look at core values, we say, okay, this is a behavior, and this is what sets the workplace up for our team. If we have people who are able to get away with things and we tolerate that, that means we are tolerating that behavior. That sets the benchmark for everyone to see. And they go, well, this person's okay to doing that. You're allowed that person to do that, but why can't I do it? It becomes very subjective. We don't have nothing to tie to. So when we talk about core values, it is all tied to a behavior, right? Now, I don't tie core values to a goal because they are different. But what I do is having those core values be behavior, as I said, but what that behavior does directly impacts the goal. Okay, so if I said to you, our goal is going to be, let's call 4 million again, and we need to do A, B, and C for company goals, and I'm going to do A, B, and C for personal goals, and my leadership team have all their own personal goals and all their own company goals that they're in charge of. But if my core value, and what is called my core value is get stuff done. If I have a GSD core value and my team is not representing that GSD, I can pull them and go, hey, we're GSD here. We're get stuff done core value. If you're not living this core, or living and breathing this core value, well, that's a behavior that I need to nip in the butt. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. How do you nip in the butt? Like, what are the practical, easy communication methods that you're using?
That's a more difficult one. So if I have a team member that is simply just not performing, I have an open and honest conversation. But again, you have to set this conversation up with a workplace environment. You have to have a safe workplace environment. Your team need to know that they're safe, that can talk to you without fear of repercussions. It doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take some time to do that. But luckily for me, I have that. I've created that over the course of the years. So I'm able to pull anyone aside and say, hey, this is not normal for you. This is not characteristically you. What's up? Talk to me about that. Is there something wrong? How can I help you? Obviously, we're going to dance around the problem a little bit until they decide to let me in. Once I'm in, I can then say, what love and support can I give you? See, now I'm not talking about the problem. I'm talking about the person. The person is not characteristically, not purposely not following my thing. They do it all the time. So you have a different feel for your team. So if your team is, doing the things that you normally do and suddenly they're not doing it anymore, that's pause for concern. So what's up? How can I help you? What love and support can I give you? And now I move into a coaching role rather than a manager's role. Right. So now I'm coaching the person. I'm giving them the space to talk to me, hoping that we can come to some sort of resolve. Now, if it's something to do with work, I hope they tell me. I can't fix something if they don't tell me. But often it's something to do at home. I can't fix that either. But what I can do is offer some empathy. And I can say, well, what can I give you? Do you want some time? Do you need more time to do this? What's to-dos do you have that I can take off your plate to catch you up? Can I help you with any of these items? Can I call a few people for you instead of you doing this? Are you behind? We have these conversations. But it all comes back to setting up the workplace environment for a safe conversation.
Absolutely. And I think like having this empathy and allowing your staff members or, your team members to be seen really makes a big difference, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Absolutely. So as a visionary and entrepreneur, you've likely set and reset many goals along the way. What's one personal or, as you say, company dragon you've had to stop chasing to make space for more meaningful progress?
I feel like I'm an expert at this to know what can and can't work. Maybe there is one. There was a time where I thought that I wanted to move. I thought that I needed a bigger space. And I started looking for a bigger space. And this was during the time of COVID where everyone was busy. And we said, we simply can't continue like this. We don't have the bandwidth. We don't have the space. So, like everybody, we thought that this was forever because everybody had a pet. Everybody had a cat. Everybody had a dog. So we thought this was forever. It wasn't until because I keep a close data of numbers, and I know where the metrics are and what I'm looking at. It wasn't until 2022, late 2022, I said, hey, we're going to fall. As in, the numbers are going to drop. The industry is going to turn. The landscape is going to change. April 2023, it changed. And I said, mark my words, this time next year, the industry is gonna drop 25% because everyone's giving their pets back. Locums and relief vets are going to be less in demand. They're going to drop their rates, and they're going to start to look for permanent positions also because they're not going to get booked like they once were. We're in 2025, end of 2025 now, and I have locums asking me, "Hey, do you have work available?" I'm like, "Since when did locums and relief vets seek work? I mean, they were all booked for years. They had a great run. Now it's coming to an end." So back into what you said, I stopped looking for a property because I thought we weren't going to support this long term, and there wasn't the demand that we once thought there was. But that being said, I said to myself then, how can I make my space more efficient? So I looked at my space a bit more and I said, I can do X, I can do Y, I can do Z, but what return on investment does that give me? If I create another room, what does that give me? How does the workflow happen if I create another room? Do I need more people? Do I need more equipment? So of course I do, but what does that look like? How does that layout happen? What changes do I need to make in order to make this all work? Now, luckily, I've got a great team who's very honest with me, and they can say, "Rhys, that won't work. That won't work. We can't do this and we can't do that." Now, I'm not that person that takes no for an answer, but I do listen to logic. Tell me why I can't do this. Now tell me, and then I'll ask the next question, how can we do this? Find a way to make this work. And my team know me very well, luckily, and they find very interesting ways to try and make this work and innovative ways to make it work. And, they're honest with me. They said, "Look, we've tried this, we've tried that, it just won't work." But sometimes, it may be a no today, but next year it could be a yes because something's changed. A piece of technology has been developed or software has been released. Something might have changed to be a yes. My team, I've come up with many, so many ideas that I thought were great ideas. Out of the 20, maybe one make it through because that's what's viable today. My other 19 might be dismissed because they're not yet viable, but we might revisit them in a year or 6 months or 2 years, right? My ideas I just jot down. I go, "Hey, this is my idea for this. This is my idea for that. I like that, don't like that, not yet. And I like this. How can we make that work? This is interesting. Tell me more about that." And then we keep going through this and hopefully something sticks. It's like throwing spaghetti at a wall. We throw things at a wall and see what sticks. Some things stick, some things don't. But as a visionary, you have to be okay with that. But that's what makes us special, the visionaries, because we're always thinking about something. We don't stay still.
Let's dive a little bit deeper into that, right? So many leaders struggle to admit something's not worth it anymore. Many visionaries might have that issue. So how can they do that without feeling like they failed?
We don't usually fail. I want to be careful when I say this because everyone has their own opinions. We have to fail successfully is my favorite term. I use this term because if we fail small, we can fix it. And it's not a big thing. But if we go all in on something and it doesn't work out, often everybody, it doesn't matter a visionary or not, you feel a little bit down. Some people have the innate ability to pick themselves up pretty quickly and move on to the next thing. It doesn't faze them. And those are resilient people. But when we try something new, we try small. We start small. We test it on a little group and we go, "Okay, guys, this is what we're looking to do. What does that look like? Tell me what barriers we've got. How can we remove them? Or what pitfalls do you see? Or what didn't work?" All that kind of stuff. All those questions. We've never really done something that is so extravagant and we've gone all in on something that it was a hope. Let's hope this works because it's all in. We want to make sure that we test a lot of things, but in small doses, because something will work. Actually, to give you an analogy, a lot of marketers, social media marketers, do the exact same thing. They test a bunch of things on TikTok, the exact same videos, different contents, and whichever one picks off, they take that same reel and message and caption, and they chuck it on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, because they're testing the market. It's exactly the same concept. We test a whole bunch of promos and see what sticks. Every 3 months there's a new one, and this one sticks. Great, we're going to take that, put it in the bank, and we'll cycle that through. So when you ask me the question, when people feel like a failure, it's the mentality that we need to go into to say, okay, it's okay if we fail because it's a small thing. It's okay. And it is okay to fail. But what we do with that information is completely different. It's completely up to you what you do with that information. You can use it, or you could wallow in it.
Absolutely. So, in your work with innovative veterinary management solutions, what patterns do you see among practice owners when it comes to goal execution? What separates those who talk about change from those who actually make it happen?
Practice owners don't always have the luxury of having a business background. So they struggle. And they struggle with basic business, but it's not their fault. And it's not exclusive to vets. Anybody who starts a business, they don't have the luxury of having a business background. I'm fortunate because I have a business background. My family was all in business. My whole family's in business. And I'm fortunate to be around that all the time. But some don't have that luxury and have gone into vet med. I'm going to use vet med as my cadence here, but some have gone to vet med and said, okay, the next step for me naturally is to open a practice or buy a practice. And that's also okay. That's perfect. No problem. But what I do have a problem with is that they think that it's easy to open up doors and they think it's easy to manage. The same thing happened. I come from a hospitality background. I had cafes. And when people say, oh, you're making a lot of money in a cafe, I'm like, open one up and see what happens. Everyone opened up a cafe. And because everyone opened up a cafe, everyone thought it was easy. They forgot that we work nights. They forgot we work weekends. We forgot that we said goodbye to our social life. Now, vet med is not always the same. It is if you're a mixed animal hospital or cattle or equine. But in a normal business, forget that it's vet med, it takes grit, it takes resilience, it takes the entrepreneurial spirit to keep going. And I give this advice to anybody who wants to start any business. Find a mentor. Find someone who is going to complement your strengths. Doesn't even have to be me. Jesus, doesn't have to be me at all. I'm terrible at marketing, but I find someone who's good at marketing and I use them. Right? So when we go into business, no matter what that is, find out, what am I weak in? What skills do I have? What skills do I don't? What do I not know? Sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and that's also okay. But if you don't have the financial acumen to budget correctly, HR, soft skills of communication, find those people that could be within your team. Train them. Give them CE, give them training, or find a professional that can help you. We have resources now that we didn't have 10, 15 years ago. We have much more now. There should be no excuse why you can't succeed because you have these resources. Reach out to somebody and ask the questions. Ask for help. I've asked for help every day. And even though I consider myself a professional, I ask for help every day because sometimes what someone says may be very different to what I think, but they give me a piece of information that I didn't think about. And not all information is the same. They are very different to each person and very different to each clinic or practice. Because what I say works might work for this practice and may not work for that practice. So it's all about understanding the situation. This is my problem here. What can I do here? Okay, well, this is my experience over there. I don't know how it's going to work over here, but this is some things that you could look at doing. Maybe something, 5 things I've said, maybe that one thing works. That's okay. But it's working for them. Not all 5, but one thing is working, and that's also good. It's better than not having anything to work at all. So reaching out is the best thing you can do to bring your practice forward and to thrive, as they say. Because again, we can't do it alone. I didn't do it alone. I had people help me. You have to have people in your corner that are better, smarter in every facet than you are. You are the machine that are driving this forward, but you need the lubricant. You need the bolts. You need the gas. You need this fuel to help you go. You just can't do it all alone.
Absolutely. So, for veterinary professionals feeling stuck between big ambitions and everyday realities, what's your best advice for turning intentions into consistent action without burning out or losing direction?
People often think, I want to get here, and I go, I don't know where to start. Start somewhere. Just simply saying, I don't know where to start is not good enough. Start somewhere, right? When that whole analogy of how do you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. Okay, great. So how are we going to get there? I go back to the same thing. How are we going to get there? You want to get here? How are we going to do that? When we look at a big picture and we say, okay, what does the $4 million look like? What does I need to do to get there? Great. When we do get to $4 million, what does it actually look like? How many doctors do you have? Is it 4? Great. How many support team do you have? Is it 25? Fantastic. What about the space? Do you need to change your space? When we understand what this looks like, money aside, if you had money to do this, if you had the vets to come in to make this happen and the people to make it happen, what does it actually look like? Once you understand that, you're going to make the small steps to get there, right? And I say that one bite at a time. So, okay, well, if you have the demand already, fantastic. Start looking for a vet, right? If you have the demand already and you have a vet, do you have a space? Do you have a room? Can your schedule allow another vet without changing anything? And this is another thing. We have to do smart scheduling. Do you need to increase hours? Do you need to adjust hours to make it all work? Do you have the homework, or do you have the data of your target market? Is that set up correctly? Maybe we're not efficient in that. Going bigger doesn't mean better. I can make a $10 million practice but only have a 5% profit? Or would you rather a $5 million practice and have 20% profit? Which is better? Bigger is not always better. You can have 10 million, a lot more headaches, a lot more people, a lot more stress for less money. But it's 10 million. But I've got 5 million at 20%. Less people, less HR, more family orientated, more personable, and you still have control. It's just a different mindset.
Absolutely. I was just curious, what if you don't have the demand? For example, going back to your previous answer where you almost pivoted, buying a new place, right? You took the need for more space and you converted it into a more efficient sort of idea. So that was based on data.
Yep.
You had your pulse on the data. But what if practice owners don't know, do they have enough demand? What then?
Everyone has the data. They just need to pull those reports and look at that. Everyone has the answers. It's a matter of taking that time to get those reports out and looking at it, put it in a nice little spreadsheet and going, what does my trend look like? If you already know the answer, if you say, oh, look, I don't have the demand to go to $5 million in 5 years, I would say, okay, where are you now? What do you need to change now in what you got? Are you efficient? Are you streamlined? Is your target market going? Do you have your correct target market? Do you have a marketing campaign? There's a lot of foundational stuff that we need to do first, because I'm not saying that you don't have the demand. What I'm saying here is potentially that you don't have the efficiency to create that demand. I know people are like, well, if I don't have the demand, what's efficiency got to do with it? It's not about just being efficient. It's about having your brand out there. People need to remember branding. People need to remember marketing. Simply opening your doors is not enough anymore. You need to stand out. You need to be different, unique. You need to have your niche now. When we talk about marketing, it's like, okay, I don't have the demand. Why don't you have the demand? I don't have enough vets to put on a demand. Maybe, and I say this with the kindest way I possibly can, is that sometimes people are stuck and not growing because they don't have the team to cheerlead for them. They don't have the team to go out and make people come to them. They got normal lives like everybody, but I expect my team, for every time that they talk to a friend, family member, to say, how's Fluffy doing? You should bring Fluffy, come and see us. I want to hear that. I want to hear them talk to their friends and say, you should come to us. If my team aren't recommending a place they work, something is wrong. And if you're not having the retention of your clients, that bonding rate, if you don't know what that is, you need to look that up. But you need to have a bonding rate and retention rate at a certain point, so that way you know that people are coming back. Because if they're not, something is wrong, right? But let's go back a bit further. Maybe the process that you have isn't bringing in the volume, because maybe there's no reminders being sent out. Maybe people don't realize that Fluffy's due for a vaccine, or Fluffy's due for a parasite control, or I forgot to bring Fluffy in again because of these for blood pressure. The vet told me 3 months ago I should come in for another blood pressure. Did we remind them? Did we text them? These are things that we can do to increase our volume, right? But we don't do it because we don't want to annoy people. It's not about annoying, it's about reminding, right? Forward booking. Do you forward book? You should. It doesn't matter if it's a year away. You go to the dentist, they forward book you. You go to a physio, they forward book you. It doesn't matter. See, here's what the thing is. We don't know who's working that day, that month. I don't care. Their appointment is with the practice, not with the person. Don't ever get caught up in tying the person to the practice, because if that person leaves, then so does the client. The client can leave the practice, not the person. Sorry, the client can leave the person, not the practice.
Right. So, Rhys, we've just arrived at the end of our session here. What's one key takeaway for our audience members who had tuned in to take away from this conversation, if they could only take one?
When you book a holiday, do you decide where to go first, or do you just randomly just book a holiday? So it's no different to where your practice is going to be. If you want your practice to be at $4 million or $5 million or whatever that may look like, find out, what do I need to do between now and then? Do I need another doctor? Do I need another support team to support that doctor? Do I need a space? Can I build out in my current space? Can I make that more efficient? Is my reminders done? These are the foundational things that you need to do. And on top of that, understand that retention of your team is going to save you a lot of money as well. It actually costs $55,000 on average for a small business to retrain the person that they just lost. And we talk about wages, we talk about opportunity costs, we talk about culture. These are all prices that we just don't see. So if you can keep your team and retain your team, that's going to cause or give you more money to play with, to invest into your practice, because you've saved that from training another team member. So retention is a big thing. Finding out where you want to go is going to be everything, because your team's going to get bought in and understand that this is what needs to happen to make this happen. And if we do this, then this happens. If we do that, then that happens. Fantastic. Everyone's on the exact same page, moving to the same direction of your vision. So it's important for you to understand where you're going to go, because once you know where you want to go, so does your pilot, so does your plane, so does your bags, and then we all meet in the same direction, same destination.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Rhys, for sharing your wisdom and, for reminding us that true leadership isn't about fighting every battle. It's about choosing the right ones and leading with clarity and care. To all our incredible listeners, thank you for joining us today. We know how much heart, effort, and dedication goes into running a veterinary practice. Conversations like this are about helping you make that hard work truly count. So if you'd like to learn more about Rhys and his team at Innovative Veterinary Management Solutions, you'll find their links in the show notes. And if you missed it earlier, there's also a complimentary practice growth strategy session from the Veterinary Business Institute waiting for you there. If this episode gave you a fresh perspective, please share it with a colleague or leave a quick review wherever you're tuning in from. It helps more veterinary professionals find us and grow alongside you. From all of us at the Veterinary Business Podcast, keep leading with clarity, compassion, and courage. Remember, not every dragon needs slaying. Sometimes the real victory is choosing the right one.